Good morning. I'm Ron Smith, current president of the Truro and Colchester Chamber of Commerce. And every year now, for a good number of years, we've invited the mayors and chief to update the community on what is taking place in their respective municipalities or First Nation, just to give some insight into what's going on. So today we have four folks with us, and by blind draw, Chief Bob Gloade will be going first, followed by Mayor Wendy Robinson, Mayor Christine Blair, and finally Mayor Bill Mills. Each dignitary will have approximately 10 minutes to give us an update on what's taking place. And towards the end of the session, we will actually be opening the line for question. And I'm not sure, Sherry, whether they can send in questions in the meantime. Yeah. If you want to go to the chat, you're welcome to type a question so that we can have your question prior to the end. And basically that's it from my seat. So we're going to actually open the floor to Chief Bob Gloade to go first this morning and update us on all the wonderful things that are taking place in Millbrook and surrounding communities. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on again once a year, and it's a great opportunity to speak to everyone, just to kind of highlight what's going on in our communities and our respective territories between the counties and our total area. But first of all, it's been an interesting 3 months for all of us by no means, and it's been an interesting challenge. This has become the new norm going forward, having these Zoom meetings on a regular basis. This and conference calls versus the regular interaction we normally have. But over the last, besides the last 3 months, but prior to the pandemic, I'm just going to highlight a few of the things that started to happen and what's happening now, what's going to take place in our community in the coming few months into this year. First of all, I went to an election in February of 2020, and I've been reelected for my 6th consecutive term, and as the chief, and also prior to that I was on council for 12 consecutive years as well. So, or not 12 consecutive terms. So this is 20 plus years I've been in this role in this capacity. But it's been a great privilege and great honor. And over the last several months, some of the things that happened prior to the election, like for example, the working with Bill Casey as our MP, we worked on the Repatriation Act, the Bill C-391, which not only impacted our community, but in fact impacted right across the country. What that's allowing is for return of our artifacts to its original territory over the officially by the federal government. So this is what this is going to do for our community is going to allow a repatriation of an artifact that's currently in Melbourne, Australia, that's been there for a number of for in excess of 20 years, to our knowledge, in a museum there, and we couldn't get it back. So with Bill Casey's assistance, we were able to develop the Repatriation Act, and that also helps all museums and all right across the country get artifacts back to their territories that have been misplaced or shifted around. So we will have an artifact that's going to be a chief's regalia that dates back to the 1800s that's going to be returned this year to our center once we get back to the normal of our tourism, and we'll be able to get to display that in the coming future. The NAG Games that was originally intended for in our community and HRM for 2020 has been postponed to 2021. So there's a delay in that. So that's going to see an influx of probably about 5,000 athletes into the province when the time comes. So next year it's appropriate. Everything's being pushed forward, but that will happen as opposed to it being totally canceled. So that's going to have about 1,000 athletes in our area, in the Colchester Truro area. That's going to help boost the economy next summer. Some of the other things that has happened in the last since September is that we've expanded our health center in our community to add a mental health section to our community. We have physicians that now are there to help our community members, and also we've one of our doctors retired, so we've managed to acquire three doctors to fill that void to service our community. So we're grateful on that. In addition, our daycare and our preschool, we went through a recent expansion of our preschool and daycare, so that to our growing needs in our community. And there's more that's going to be happening going forward. But now let's go back to some of the things that seem to be more of an interest on the county's perspective and what's going on in economic development in our community. As you know, that we have a retail complex we have built in our community for a number of years, and we're now working on a new tenant that's going to be it's going to be new to the area, a new business, a new service that's going to be in there. So they're going to occupy 10,000 square feet, and they'll be coming in providing a valuable service to the community in the coming months. And we're going through closing that. Also, in the last few weeks, we were able to finalize and secure our aquaculture. Our aquaculture facility has been closed for the last couple of years of our agriculture farm. So now we have Cook's Aquaculture that's now going to be moving in and utilizing that space. So we developed a partnership with Cook's Aquaculture to begin reopening the hatchery and the fish farm, which is good for us. The other thing is at the Hampton Inn. The Hampton Inn that we were previously 51% ownership in the hotel. We have now acquired majority share of the hotel under in Millbrook. We now own just about 90% of the hotel. Some of the new things that is happening is that we've begun construction of a new gaming facility in our community. We have done an HRM. We've built a new gaming facility for VLTs that merges all 3 different locations into one. We're doing the same thing here in the Truro Power Center. Lindsay's construction has begun construction already, which is across from the Super 8 next to the strip mall, and that's being built there. So when you drive through the community, you see some construction there. They've already are now building the forms, and that'll be going up in the coming weeks. Last week we're down in Cole Harbour, and we've launched a new project that we're doing there in our satellite community of Cole Harbour of a 68 unit apartment building that we're building along with a partnership with Lindsay's Construction as well. Just to let you know, for some that Millbrook not only has lands in Millbrook, but also in Sheet Harbour, Beaver Dam, and in Cole Harbour. And one of the other projects that we've been working on in HRM is the Shannon Park development. That continues to move forward in acquiring the land in Shannon Park. We've recently, in November, we've gone through a community vote on 2 folds. One is the Shannon Park to acquire the land that has passed. The other development that we've had done on November 21st is that we've finalized a deal with the Government of Canada, which dates back to 1919. So we finally settled a 100-year-old land claim with the government in exchange for the land that was previously earmarked for Millbrook, in Sandbrook, Ship Harbour, and Ingram River, where our communities would have resided, but our community members back in 1919 didn't want to move there. They decided to move into this wonderful area of Colchester County to the location we're at now, which we're forever grateful for. So there was a unsettled dispute for that. So between Millbrook and Shubenacadie, we finalized our 1919 claim, which is an acquisition of land plus some monetary settlements. So it was a $49 million land claim that we settled back in November. So that has completed, and now the transfer has been completed. So it's split between Millbrook and Shubenacadie. So in the future, we will be looking at acquiring additional lands as well, and we'll be doing other developments for our community. In addition to that, we've been acquiring lands over the last 20 years adjacent to our power center because we want to be able to expand our community. So we're going through that process now with the respective mayors and with the area to broaden our community, because we've purchased approximately 1,000 acres of land adjacent to our community and behind the power center, so that we're transferring that to reserve land. And that's hopefully for future expansion for economic development for the power center, and also if we can continue to with the development of the overpass and indeed the second interchange that we've been working on collectively together. That's a project that'll benefit that as well. Other than that, there's a few other little things that's going on, but that gives you a overview in a nutshell of what's going on. So I'm going to turn it over to the next speaker, and at the following, if you have any questions from those comments, feel free to fire away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Gloade. As always, it's always interesting to find out what you folks are up to, and you just continue to move along. I am now going to turn the Zoom microphone over to Mayor Wendy Robinson from the town of Stewiacke. Mayor Robinson, we're even going to unmute you.
Hi, sorry. I think my internet tells me it's a little bit unstable, so I apologize if I sound a little unstable. So anyway, good morning, fellow mayors, Chief Gloade, Mr. President, chamber members, and everyone else joining us via Zoom. So on behalf of Stewiacke, I offer a big thank you to the chamber for organizing the breakfast again this year and under these circumstances, and for all the help and support you have been providing through these difficult months, as you have stepped up to the plate to make sure businesses and people have what they need. I would also like to acknowledge the recent tragedies that have befallen our region. While Stewiacke was not directly affected, we stand with you in your pain and suffering. Today I will talk about how Stewiacke's doing since the last annual breakfast. First, I will touch on some highlights of the past year. Second, I will discuss our financial situation throughout the year and in the current COVID-19 climate. And third, I will talk about the future for Stewiacke. So what's new since we last met, you ask? The Nova Scotia Liquor Commission moved to their new location on Gibson Boulevard that is near Highway 102. They have experienced a significant increase in sales that is directly attributed to this new location. I understand some shoppers have commented that it's about time Stewiacke had a liquor store. NSLC has been Stewiacke since before 1967 when they built the last new store. I guess it's one of those hidden gems people refer to. The store is in a plaza that has more space waiting for other retail or food services to take advantage of the location. Now we'll talk about the financial health of Stewiacke. Early into the pandemic, the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities was gravely concerned about the financial impact on property tax collection, as were the municipalities. As a result, Stewiacke, along with many municipalities, put a new policy into place to allow property owners to apply for help with their taxes by spreading this year's tax bill over a couple of years. No one has inquired about the program to date. A rough calculation indicated that only about $140,000 may possibly be involved out of our $2.4 million budget. We have also suspended water, wastewater, and property tax interest on payments until the end of August to help those who need it. Luckily, our financial situation remains amazingly strong, even through the tough days. Over the past years, we have lamented that we have a very small commercial tax base. This has been our saving grace for us as the pandemic hit, as most of the few businesses we do have been able to survive. Many of the businesses actually have increased their revenue over the last 3 months. Unfortunately, the 2 bed and breakfasts have suffered and will not likely open. Despite having the town office closed to the public, we have continued our services remotely. The town has issued permits for new construction valued at over $500,000 to date this year. In 2018, a permit was taken out to construct an 11-unit seniors apartment building that is now nearing completion and is completely spoken for. We have collected $10,000 in deed transfer tax at 1.5%, which shows houses have been selling and in fact are selling faster than they did in the last couple of years. Is to reach out into the community. Since the beginning of the quarantine, our fire department has been delivering groceries to those who require such services. We are also able to provide support for our local food bank through the United Way by securing $12,000 to help with supplies, a new freezer, and deliveries to those unable to access the facility. And thanks to the Truro Mall, the Easter Bunny even made an appearance, and a unicorn was seen sauntering through town on another weekend. The third thing I want to touch on is our future, which looks bright, as I always say, because it's true. Mastodon Ridge began a major upgrade last fall, and the new mini putt will be open for business soon. The top floor of the building will be open to serve food to the hungry visitors. Coldstream Clear has expanded yet again and will take over the bottom floor of the ridge and is looking forward to serving customers in some new ways. We heard from people in the know that small homes are very popular in our area, so we reduced our minimum lot frontage requirement from 60 feet to 50 feet, which makes smaller homes more feasible to developers. This sparked several initiatives, including an approved subdivision being reconfigured to accommodate these smaller lot sizes in order to create a small home community. Another developer has submitted plans for a community that will create 35 to 40 new homes. A sale is pending for a 72-acre piece that will become home to well over 200 families in the coming years. So in light of this development, we are seeking an egress from the longest street that is a dead end. This egress will open up land for more development. Incidentally, Stewiacke is the third largest town in the province landmass-wise. First is Truro, second is Mulgrave, and so we still have lots of room to grow with just around 1,000 rooftops. Last fall, some of council met with a new development company from Halifax who intended to purchase land in the subdivision by the highway, Stewiacke River Crossing. Their vision is to build a complex that will be home to seniors who want independent apartments or assisted living apartments. Council agreed to entertain a proposal to include a space for a library on the bottom floor of the 72-unit building. Unfortunately, the land deal fell through, but the company is still very interested in building in Stewiacke and are coming before council tomorrow evening with a new proposal for 50 units and a library again in another location in town. It looks promising, but as we all know, promising doesn't always end with building being constructed. But SK Retirement Living has fallen to be a part of our town. Their facility will change the social and financial future of Stewiacke. If you can imagine, 50 plus people moving into town of just under 1,400 within a very short period of time. Not only are we creating residents, we're adding to our recreational infrastructure. Over the last couple of years, a group of dedicated folks organized, fundraised, and created the Barking Lot, an off-leash dog park that will open soon. It is ready, but waiting for restrictions to lift. Late last fall, Billy Jones of BJ Electric gave the town $50,000 towards a splash pad. We had made some plans and anticipated opening this summer, but again, due to the restrictions, we could not get the splash pad companies into the province to do the design work. We are really hoping that we will have everything in place and ready for next summer. We are, however, having an asphalt pad put down this summer for a small skate park. The Recreation Department has also been working on a new trail that will start at the current River Country Trail located just above Mastodon Ridge. The trail will go under Highway 102 and follow along the dikes to Main Street West. There will be a boardwalk along the edge of the Stewiacke River to connect to the Meadows Trail by the Fish Shack. It is a big undertaking that will take at least a couple years of planning, but the trail will offer an amazing view of the tides and of the 15 to 20 eagles that fish the incoming tide every day. It will become part of the Trans-Canada Trail system, and they are just as excited as we are to help see it happen. So speaking of water, Finding a new water source has been an issue since I was first elected to council in 2008, and I am so pleased to report that we have had 3 test wells created, and 2 of the 3 are very promising. This means that we can comply with the Department of Environment by ceasing to draw water directly from St. Andrews River. We just need to do a couple of more flow tests and then begin to put together a plan to create the well field and, as always, seek funding. We will have more than enough water for any future developments, and this is a great relief. On another front, Stewiacke is getting a bit greener with a solar project to be placed next to our community center within 2 years. We will sell the power to the grid and be able to pay for the equipment within a few years and then have enough revenue generated to pay the power bill for the building. We hope it will be the first of many green initiatives. So in conclusion, it's been a very different year for Stewiacke, as with all of us. We have seen growth through increased housing stock, property sales, and lot development. We have come through a possible financial disaster virtually unscathed and have possibilities before us we could not have imagined. However, we experienced tragedy through our neighbors' pain this year, and our hearts ache for their losses. We stand with you in that pain. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Mayor Robinson. Again, always a pleasure. We are now going to turn the microphone over to Mayor Christine Blair for the Municipality of Colchester.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, everyone. To date, the year 2020 has not been kind to us. A global pandemic, the worst mass shooting in Canadian history, local connections to those lost in a military helicopter crash, a missing 3-year-old boy, and a snowbird crash leading to the death of another fellow Nova Scotian. To say our communities have been through a lot lately is a considerable understatement. Any one of these tragedies is a lot to deal with, but when all are combined, our municipalities have been pushed into extreme, uncharted territory, both operationally and even more so emotionally. Although we are all still processing the loss and the effects of these senseless tragedies, we can take comfort in the way our community has responded, the way it has come together, and in the support we have received from around the world, across our great nation, and throughout Nova Scotia. These are reassuring signs of hope amidst what has been a very dark and challenging time. Our hearts will always go out to the families who lost loved ones, to the RCMP family of officers, and to friends and neighbors. Our hearts also go out to the family and friends of George Floyd, who died so senselessly at the hands of one who took an oath to serve and protect. A senseless act indicative of a much deeper problem that our society needs to address and to change. We will keep all of them in our hearts and prayers, and we will never forget. Ladies and gentlemen, work at the Municipality of Colchester has certainly had to adapt in recent months. For the most part, we remain fully operational with a few modifications and changes. Our materials recovery facility was most affected by the state of emergency resulting from COVID-19. 38 full-time sorters of our recyclables had to be laid off because safe working conditions could not be met. 3 crossing guards also had to be laid off as a result of schools being closed. Our council is well acquainted with Zoom, as I'm sure many others are now as well. We began meeting this way in March and have done so on a weekly basis since the state of emergency began. Recently, we approved our 2020-2021 budget, and I'm sure many of you can appreciate that was a challenge with so many uncertainties surrounding COVID-19. I'm proud to say that we approved a balanced budget without raising our tax rates, despite many rising costs beyond our control. Knowing the financial stress that many of our residents and businesses are experiencing, it was important to our council to keep rates at the same this year, and we continue to maintain one of the lowest tax rates in Nova Scotia. We reduced spending wherever possible. We continue to invest in our reserves. We continue to prepare for emergency spending if needed, and we continue to invest in capital projects wherever possible to both stimulate the economy and enhance our local infrastructure. Council is also reviewing its low-income municipal tax program and exploring a property tax financing program to further support those in need. Our budget continues to support the many nonprofit organizations within the county. We recognize the important work that these groups do to provide programs, services, events, and facilities that make Colchester a better place in which to live. Added to this, Colchester has many exciting projects and initiatives. I'm going to share a few with you. Our council approved a new brand for the municipality, Colchester, Be Centered Here. The new logo is dynamic, progressive, and intentionally abstract. It resembles our highways and emphasizes our importance as a central transportation hub, while 4 interconnecting C shapes promote the togetherness of family and of the diverse communities and cultures that make up Colchester. The shapes coming together also reflect collaboration and engagement. The tagline, Be Centered Here, captures the essence of the Colchester brand and its competitive advantages. It promotes Colchester's central geographic location within Nova Scotia and its unparalleled quality of life, affordable, welcoming, family-focused, full of natural beauty, and centrally located within easy access to all the modern amenities. Climate change. This is a major global issue. It affects all of us. We are taking this challenge seriously and are doing what we can at the municipal level. Our Solar Colchester program won an award last year at the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities annual conference. This program helps residents finance the installation of solar panels on their homes to generate renewable energy. The municipality was able to invest in solar panels for the rec and for the Brookfield Sportsplex through the Solar Electricity for Community Buildings program. The program allows the facilities to sell power back to Nova Scotia Power, and that will generate approximately $20,000 a year in net profit for 20 years at each of these facilities. We continue to benefit from renewable energy produced on wind farms throughout the county. And our Central Colchester Wastewater Treatment Facility is getting an upgrade. We identified that the system's blowers represented approximately 53% of overall energy consumption for the facility. We are installing variable frequency drives on all blower motors, which will reduce energy consumption by 30%, saving approximately $58,000 per year. This project will have a payback of 4.5 years. New LED lighting at the rec in the arena and pool areas is saving $25,000 per year. And we are in the process of preparing a plan for community energy and emissions with 50% funding through the Low Carbon Communities Fund. We continue to work hard on this as we recognize every bit counts. And if we can save money in the process, that makes it even better. You may have heard about the French River Watershed project or seen the Water Not Gold signs along the road if you are in North Colchester and the Tatamagouche area. We are working to secure a designation to protect our watershed and source water for the many residents of Tatamagouche. We are waiting for a response from the minister right now. We believe it is a fundamental right of every individual to have clean drinking water, and we do not want our source water threatened in any way. Added to this, we have some exciting new things on the horizon. Rural broadband internet. These days, words like Zoom and webinar occur in everyday conversation. While internet connection is more important than ever, many of our rural citizens are facing isolation requirements without high-speed internet, some without internet. Colchester has partnered with Cumberland County on a major rural broadband project led by ExploreNet Communications with participation of the Provincial Internet Funding Trust. This project will include nearly 700 kilometers of new optic fiber over the next 3 years. In recognition of the urgent need for quickly improved service, and thank you to COVID for that, the province is funding the deployment of wireless service to be delivered to many rural areas of Colchester by ExploreNet over the next 75 days. Colchester is assisting with tower siting and other aspects of this project. Our Fundy Discovery Site. An interpretive plan is under development. We are currently working with a consulting firm to identify key themes like tides, history, nature, geology, and creative ways to interpret them. This will help steer future development of the site. Council recently endorsed a bridge design for the site that, when built, will become a one-of-a-kind landmark in the province. Fundy Discovery Site is now part of the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark that spans the Fundy shore from Lower Truro to Cape Chignecto Provincial Park. This is another significant opportunity for our region to be put on the world stage. And the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark, let me tell you about the Cliffs of Fundy. 300 million years ago in the Coal Age, the continents collided to form Pangaea. 200 million years ago, in the age of dinosaurs, it began to rip apart. And the modern world was born. We tell that story like nowhere else on Earth. And that's the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark. Following a highly successful evaluation last summer, the UNESCO Global Geoparks Council submitted the Cliffs of Fundy Geopark among its nominations to UNESCO's Executive Board for endorsement. Once endorsed, Cliffs of Fundy will become the first global geopark in Nova Scotia, one of 5 in Canada, and will join an elite group of extraordinary destinations around the globe. The official endorsement was expected to be announced in April, but was postponed due to COVID. We now expect it to take place in July. This will be a significant feather in our cap for promoting our region on an international stage. And having said that, I do recognize this year there will be more promotions for staycation tourists. But with all the trails we have and the parks and the 2 perfect examples that I have just given you, there will be lots to see and to do. I'm excited about the momentum and the energy here in Colchester County and truly believe we have a promising future. In closing, I want to thank all the frontline and essential workers who have seen us and are seeing us through the COVID-19 pandemic. You are second to none. Thank you all so very much. To Colchester's counterparts in government, Truro, Stewiacke, Millbrook First Nation, to our partner in the Broadband Internet and Geopark projects, Cumberland County, to our business community, and to our REN. I want to say how much we appreciate the collaboration and working together to achieve our goals. COVID-19 has created a lot of uncertainties. There's the timing of reopenings, numerous event cancellations, postponements, but we have received notice that one important event will continue as planned. It's been confirmed that the fall municipal election will take place on October 17. With any luck, I will be back to speak to you again at next year's Mayors and Chiefs Chamber Breakfast. Thank you to the Chamber for organizing this event and to all of you for your time and attention. It's so good to see everyone. Stay safe and my very best to each of you. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Mayor Blair, for that update. And I know that many people in the community are very excited to hear that they may have better internet service. Mayor Bill Mills will be up for the final update, and then we'll take some questions. And if you have the questions, again, folks, please send them along through the chat, and we'll speed things up. Thank you. Go ahead, Mayor Mills.
Good. Thank you very much, Ron, and good morning to all my fellow Zoomies. And it's a pleasure to be here this morning, as always, and to my colleagues. I do want to bring greetings to you, to my three colleagues and chamber members, and anyone else who's watching today. Also want to take this opportunity to thank citizens for your cooperation and understanding and diligence as we wade through this COVID-19 pandemic. And certainly I'm very proud of our citizens since we've opened Victoria Park, for example, of how they respect the safe distancing and all the other things that are in place. It's, as been stated many times already this morning, a rather difficult time, and also not only with COVID-19, but all the other events. So certainly thanks to all who expressed condolences and support that has been overwhelming. So I appreciate Mayor Blair's comments earlier about working together, and she mentioned the branding for Colchester County. Twirl, one of our employees, Allison Graham, with the Town Development Office, worked on the rebranding and the redesign. So I think that's a good way to show that we are working together and cooperating. So just down to business now. Currently, right now, the town of Twirl, as far as value of construction for this year, we're at $5 million, which is quite respectable. Usually we go in cycles. Last year was over 12 million. This year, 5 million, which in light of all the events, I think is extraordinary. Some good things are happening. I'll give you a couple examples. The development that we had proposed for the Callback Street area, that property has exchanged hands and gone to a new developer. So we're expecting some work to be done up in that area in the not too distant future. Other developments are well underway. Queen Street on the old jail site is a good example. Moving slowly, but under conditions, moving quite well. Also, some other things are happening, which I think are quite encouraging, to say the least. One thing some people are wondering about Crosley Carpet Factory, known as Candace, that still has a pulse. Been in contact with some prospective developers. We thought the property had a good chance of being sold early in the year, but that deal fell through, and just found out within the last couple of weeks that that deal did fall through. And so I called somebody that I've been talking to for the last year about it. They weren't aware of it. Now they are, and they've got a couple of proposals in place for projects with regards to COVID-19 type manufacturing. So that's been handed off to Allison Graham and also Brennan Gillis through PEP, and hopefully we'll get to correspondence and some support to perhaps put a proposal forward. As you know, we've talked about COVID-19. Victoria Park is finally open. That has been something that many people have been striving, along with other trails along our region, to have them open and open quickly so that people can get out and clear their mind with a good walk and so on. So we're happy with that. And people that are visiting the park, as I can observe, are observing safe distance protocol. One thing that has been front row and center over the last month or two, and even before that, is Black Lives Matter. And questions have arisen about what we are doing. We've been working, I think, for quite a while in the town of Twirl to deal with these issues, with the formation of our diversity committee. And even this morning, we are hosting a meeting, a community meeting by Zoom with members of the Black community. And this started last year with, if you remember, last August, September, there was an issue of watching deer while black. We had a community meeting as a result of that, and we decided with the community we would form a committee with representatives from the town and also the community at large. That meeting is taking place at about 10 o'clock this morning, so we'll hope to have some updates there as to how we can work together for the better of the entire community. I'll be happy to report that capital projects will be starting outside as soon as possible on roads and sidewalks. They have been patching and so on and so forth, and doing a good job as conditions allowed. And the challenge, of course, is having workers side by side in their vehicles and so on. So that's underway. We are busy. I just want to mention that, speaking of projects from last year, if you go down to Newer, Arlington, and Faulkner Street, you'll see one of the major capital projects from last year that, in my view, and I think a view of others, has completely revitalized that neighborhood. So we're very proud with how that worked out. Many of you may be wondering about the TAC Ground project that has been in the fundraising mode for the last number of years, and also has received support rather, with the Colchester County and the Town of Truro. That's still going and going forward. Fortunately, there's been announcements from the federal government on infrastructure programs, which we've taken advantage of. So it's an active file. Discussions are taking place right now. The province is involved. And so I'm hoping that we will have some kind of an announcement in the not too distant future. So it's ongoing. We are working with the Downtown Truro Partnership and on opportunities to help restaurants, considering expansion of patios for seating purposes, and also the alternatives for seating. And some pretty good ideas have come up, and we've sorted through those things. And so we're working on that. And I think the Louise Street area will see some changes in the not too distant future. Also further up on Prince Street going west, there's a vacant lot that's owned by the Snook Group, and some restaurants in that area are thinking about using that as an outdoor patio scenario. So again, we want to continue to work with our partners to make sure that business has an opportunity to survive and even more so thrive. Also, Town Hall opened this week. Visitors are restricted to the main floor, but certainly I do want to reiterate to taxpayers, whether they be residential or commercial, if you do have difficulties, perhaps meeting your commitments for paying your taxes, by all means, call Town Hall and talk to our finance department, and certainly we can work with you to make sure that we can get through this together cooperatively and efficiently. So that's a good thing. About a year ago, along with Colchester County, we started to talk about a Alert Truro Colchester system. And that system has been launched in the last couple of weeks, and there has been some press coverage on that. This was originally put in place because of communications with regards to everyday citizens with regards to garbage and compost pickup, particularly on storm days and weather events, and if the service was canceled, when's the next pickup and everything else. This alert system will also inform people about what's happening, along with water main breaks and anything else that will be happening in our community. What the mainstream media have tried to do is tie that in to our response to Portapic and also the missing 3-year-old boy in our area. The system has those capabilities to alert members of the community as an event taking place, but that's not primarily why it was put in place. It's for better service delivery and communication with all of our citizens. If you go to our respective websites, you will see how to sign up, and you have 3 or 4 different modes. You can be notified by phone, the old-fashioned phone, your cell phone, or text and email. So you have to sign up for it, and you can let us know what mode of communication you prefer. So we think that will be a good thing for us. And I think at last count, we had about 1,300 sign up in the Truro area. So that will be a great thing. And so we'll see how it all pans out. So again, it's a move to better communicate with you, our citizens, as to what's happening in our area. It's already been mentioned about the fall election. And so you can go to the town website and the county website, and you'll just look up Truro Colchester Alert, and it'll show you how to sign up. You can do that today. It's been mentioned about the fall election, and certainly that's something that the Federation of Nova Scotia Municipalities is looking at closely. It presents a number of problems for at least 50% of the province that doesn't have good internet service for voting electronically, but they can do that by phone. I guess the concern of most municipal units is basically we keep hearing over and over and over that the second wave of COVID-19 is probably not might happen. It's probably going to happen. And what does that do when municipal units start spending a whole lot of money? Then all of a sudden it may be canceled sometime September or October. Other challenges for new people who wish to run for public office, they're at a disadvantage to those who are incumbent. And as a result, they have to work a little harder to get known. What about door to door? What does that mean? Do you want somebody coming knocking on your door for an election, and so on and so forth? So anyway, we'll move forward, and I'm sure it'll all work out, and we'll see how things unfold. But certainly no end of challenges. And again, I think as we have stressed, when we work together, we are stronger. And I think one of the biggest things that I noticed that the whole mental health of our communities has been stretched to the limit. And you know, it's nice to be able to see people get out and get fresh air, go for a walk, and sort of assimilate things, and maybe just calm down a bit. I can't stress enough how important it is for anyone and everyone who has a question or a concern. Please get in touch with us. The rumor mill goes too fast now, and with social media, it sort of is amplified. So make sure you contact your respective governments and get clarification. Don't go by rumors. That's a very scary thing to do, and it can be very harmful, especially on social media. So for the most part, I think the town, I know the town is in good shape, and I am glad to hear that my colleagues, same thing, positive attitude. That's what's going to get us through this. And as we work together, again, it's been said many times, it's true, we will be stronger. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today, and I wish everyone a great day. If you go out today, wear your sunscreen.
And thank you very much, Mayor Mills. And once again, a collective thank you to all of our participants today for sharing some insight and some encouraging words also.